Yeah, hi, this is Ashwin, and we're going to be talking about the tool I've been working for the past few weeks, and that is based on the Azure Security Benchmark, and it basically gives you a security baseline, and this is focused on Azure Sentinel. As you can see here, this particular tool has got like 12 different parts, and then I'm going to take you through each and every one and talk more about it while we are there. So, on the description, it basically tells you what particularly this tool is. It's based on the Azure Security Benchmark version 2.0, and we are basically applying it to Azure Sentinel based deployments. So, the first thing that it actually asks you in this tool is to put your team details. So, I'm going to actually copy this as my team details as an example, and if you notice that the moment you type the details, like say if I type it here, it actually puts those details live below. So I'm actually interested in making sure that I have these are the team members that I need for the team to work on and things like that. So once you've gone through that and you're acknowledged that list is what you need, click on this and then click next. This is going to take you to the governance and strategy point of view. So what is governance strategy is it provides you guidance to ensure that you have a proper coherent security strategy and you have a proper documented governance approach in place. So you need to go through each and every sections or controls inside these. So this black box is called controls. So inside each control, you will have certain questions that you need to answer to. And if you see this particular control, if you're working on this particular control, you will be compliant with these CIS control version 7.1 second and the 13th one. And if you're looking at a NIST SP 853, then you basically will be compliant with SC and AC. So you will find it on every controls that is documented in this tool, how it is related to CIS control and NIST. So let's take a look at the first one. It says to identify the business risk. So what is the current condition? Is it something that is to be decided? Are you going to work on it? If you're going to work on it, whether it is scheduled to happen at a particular time or maybe you have already completed this task. So I'll probably say completed, and I'll say when was this completed. So I'll probably put, I'm just putting a date of yesterday, and then I'll put a number of days that was taken, maybe 15 days to basically identify and all kind of those things. Who was doing it? So I'll probably put the names related to all of that and things related. So you can actually have multiple team members assigned. And then you have the next question. Do you have a data classification in place? And that is basically, you can see here, there is one thing called responsibility, and that is your entity, means you are responsible to ensure that this is taken care of and the secure. And I'm going to actually say scheduled, and I'm going to schedule it for next week, or maybe I'll probably put it for Thursday. And that's going to be a 5-day activity, and who's going to be doing it? I'm going to be putting it as my name, and then I'm going to put Deepak and things like that. And then on the security organizational visibility to risk and asset inventory kind of thing, so I'm actually going to put it as, again, completed, let's say, and then it was completed, let's say, last week. So I'm actually going to put like Thursday, and it took like 5 days to do it, and it was done by the client Spock, as well as my name in it and things like that. And then looking at all of these, I'm going to actually run through these questions. So it is actually questions here, and then you need to put a status, whether it is to be decided or whether it is actually scheduled, and accordingly, let's probably keep it as next week kind of thing. It's actually going to be a 2 days activity, who's going to be doing it and things like that. So I have to complete these particular task, and then I can consider this control is completed, and then I move to the next control, and then I finish up these questions accordingly, and then get to the next one, and then finish the questions accordingly to that, and then get to the next one. So if you see here, all of this is actually telling you which CS control and NIST it is basically a part of. And identify your security team. This is the team that you added in the beginning, so it actually just shows you here, and it moves on like that. And then if you go to click, so let's say for example you completed all of that, and then you need to go to the next section, and that is network security. And if you expand this, you will actually see here that this is a part of the multiple CIS controls and NIST, and responsibility of this task is not you but Microsoft. So you only have to say acknowledge, which means you understood that. So that's basically it. And then go to the next. And then on the identity perspective, you can actually see that what is your status there. So you can actually say scheduled. I'm going to just randomly select some dates just for the test case situation. Like 5 days and things like that. These are not essentially exactly how it is. I'm just trying to put some values here so that you can get to know the usage of the system and things like that. And then if I go in here and then I say what is the status of the authentication related issues, how is it looking like, it is basically scheduled as well, let's say 15th, and it's going to be basically a 2-day activity or maybe 3-day activity, who's going to be doing it and things like that. So if I go to the sections on monitoring, and if I complete all of these, and then I can actually say next, it goes to the next section. It says privileged access, and on the privileged access, what is your point of view? You can actually either schedule something. Again, I'm going to put some date here, and then I'm going to say 3 days, 3 days to it, and I'm going to put Deepak who's going to actually do those activities, and I'm going to make sure that all of this is done, and then I'm going to click next. And on the data protection point of view, how are you going to actually make sure that the data is encrypted on the transit? So I'm actually going to say this is already completed. Let's say we completed it last week, and it was a 5-day activity. Who did it? It was done by Deepak, let's say, and then it goes on like that. And then I click next. Maybe I can actually also look at the encryption at rest condition and click next to it. And on the asset management perspective, it's basically where you make sure that the team has visibility to the risk and things like that. So I'm actually going to make sure that there is a role already assigned. So I'm actually going to put it as, again, an activity that is completed last week. I'll say 5 days. Now, possibilities are there. In your case, you may be starting from scratch, which means you will have most of them on scheduled basis, which is fine as well. So, and then move on to that, and then let's get to the next question, and accordingly you complete it, and then I'm going to go to the next domain altogether. So whatever you see on the top, I call it as domain, like different domains, and it actually has 11 domains that you have to cycle through and get to all of that. Let's say configure forwarding all the logs to the SIEM or any SIEM that you have in your organization, something like that. And you can actually put the completed date here. How is it going to look like when it was actually completed? Or let's say if it's a more of a scheduled activity, and then I'll say that it's going to be scheduled by this, and then it is probably a 15 days activity, and it will be done by Deepak as well as the spoke, that is, and things like that. And then I actually going to look at the rest of the things, and then I'm going to click next here. What is your point of view in the incident response? Like, how are you managing the incident response point of view? So I'll say scheduled. I'm going to actually have a process defined next week, so I'm actually going to keep it as this and things like that. I'll say it's a 3-day activity, who's going to be doing it, and there will be a client spoke as well involved, and things like that, and vulnerability assessment, who is going to be doing that. If you see here, this is basically underlying system is not done by us, so it is actually just a factor that you need to acknowledge, and then should be conducting any kind of penetration testing activity and things like that. You got to make sure that you have a process in place, because you may need to make sure that you are informing the team accordingly, the operations teams and everything. So there should be a proper process in place. When is it actually planning to be done? I'm going to put like 5 days to complete it and things like that. And I'm going to go to the next domain here, and that is the last one, backup and recovery. I'm going to actually say, yes, I'm going to have a process created, and I'm going to be done with it next week as well, and then probably put like 5 days of activity to this and things like that. And if you go to the next, you actually can see that it actually generates a chart. You will see that most of these are actually not completely done. So the green is a target, which means you are supposed to have all these domains 200%. That is basically, if you see network security is at 100%, one reason is it is completely managed by Microsoft, and you just acknowledged it, and you trust that Microsoft is going to do it. And if you see here, it is actually having all of these detailing here. What is the percentage? And if you come down to, like, you need to know more, what does this percentage means? If you click on here, it actually tells you if it is under 19%, your maturity level is incomplete. Between 20 and 49, you performed maturity level, and your maturity level is defined if you are actually between 50 and 89, and over 90 you are on a managed, which means you are able to take care of that. Now the best part is you actually talking about a lot of tasks here, and you want to basically take it offline in an email and then take it with your team. So you click here, it actually downloads your entire task list. I will say that you basically have the question here, and you can basically take care of these activities accordingly, and maybe you can actually work further on that and things like that. This is something that if you need to work offline, and that's one way to do it. Now if you come back to the other chart requirement, let's say for example you see there is a chart here, and you probably want to email it across to your CISO or something like that. You click on it, it actually downloads the chart as well, and this chart can be used to showcase how far your work is actually getting done. If there is any domain that you are currently working on, as it's in work in progress kind of thing and things like that. So you actually see the different radar chart here. So ideally you should basically have people somewhere near 80 to 90% on most of them. And I'm not expecting that most organizations to complete it within a day or two. So this is an activity which might take months, which is fine as well. And that's why a tool like this can make sure that you are on top of things. You basically are updated with the list of activities, and it's 100+ tasks definitely to make sure that you are getting to a place which makes sense. And so that's basically the way how this tool works. And please let me know if any questions related to the usage of the tool. And you will probably see that it's actually on the beta version. The reason is I've done all my testing and I didn't find any problems to it so far, and whatever bugs I have seen is actually fixed as well. I'm just going to be monitoring the activity for a week, and then moving to the final version, that is version 1.0, next week sometime, once I'm making sure that people who are using it doesn't have any problem to it. And any suggestions on the tool, what are the functionalities that you would like to have? One of the things I'm currently trying to add up to the next version is adding up a notes section. Say, for example, okay, I will actually show you one more functionality of the tool while I'm telling. So if in case you're on the asset management and you want to actually work on governance again, you can click on that. You can go back and forth. It doesn't matter much. So I'm actually planning to maybe add one notes section here where you can actually put some notes and all kind of those things. So, but that's not coming in this version, but that is coming the next version. I would like you to go through this and maybe work further. Update me if any changes are needed or any convenience related updates needed, like any UI tweaks required or any kind of those things. Please keep me updated, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and accordingly we will touch base. All right. And in case if you need me to be doing this activity for you on your systems, please connect to me. I will make sure that you are connected with the program managers from our side and accordingly schedule these activities. All right. Thank you and have a nice day.